A split series started us off here in the ESL Pro League. Navi and Virtus Pro were doing battle, and now we do take a venture to the lower side of the standings for our next two best of ones. And I say we, I am joined by none other than YNK and Mr. Greer. How you doing, Henry?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, you enjoyed that cast?
It's all right, wasn't it?
Have a good time?
Yeah, nice little game. Didn't really make much sense.
You got a quick cobble.
Yeah, I did. Wasn't really sure what to make of that after VP got battered by Hellraisers on the first day and then come back and beat Navi on it 16-3. Doesn't make much sense, does it?
Unpredictable Counter-Strike, and I have no doubt that that's what we have to look forward to here as well, as we have Penta and Flipside. Now,
tantalizing matchup.
It's no secret that they are at the bottom half of the standings. In fact, if we could bring that up, I don't know if that's possible, just to kind of put into perspective.
Teams, we've got Flipside last and Penta.
Hellraisers is somewhere in there, of course.
Of course, yeah. Well, naturally.
I mean, I think they have 3 wins and like 11 losses. They've really had a rough time.
The thing is, though, Penta have been bringing up quite a considerable fight. The team's coming in from the Premier as well, and they're actually giving teams a run for their money. Getting into overtimes and having like 16-14. So to be fair to them, they're actually holding their own. They're not getting the wins, but in terms of them getting better as a team, it's actually quite promising for them overall.
Yeah, so here it is. It's now available for you. You can actually see that Penta 3 for 13.
I was right. And it's going to be, 3 for 13 for Penta. Actually posting better scores than Flipside have. They had yet to pick up a single map here in Pro League. And this is the team as well that's qualified for the last 8 major. The next major, in fact. So that's how insane is that? They haven't picked up a single map yet.
It does boggle the mind somewhat to see them in such a position. I mean, they have such big names, such as your Markelovs, your Blade, historic to Counter-Strike, and yet they can't seem to catch a break. When even, and I do say this, you know, with no kind of. Oh no, I don't want to say it. I was going to say even Penta are, you know, finding close games and wins in this Pro League. I felt like a jab at Penta.
No, it's fine. They're the underdogs here. They've come from the Premier. Okay. They've come from the Premier season. They're not a tier 1 team by any stretch of imagination. Okay. Flip side, you kind of have to say that they are, considering they're in the top 8 for the next major. That's kind of exciting, you know. So Penta coming in here, like I said, they may not be getting the most amount of wins, but they're getting wins, and that's more than Flipside have been doing. They've actually had some very convincing games as well. So Alex, why don't you take us through the lineups?
Well, Henry, I'd love to. Thank you. Stefan, Crystal, Lau, Tarsin, and Mike S do make the body of Penta. Of course, Lau, the Spaniard, the import, who has been doing a wonderful job alongside the Dutchman, Mike S. The rest coming from Germany. And alongside that, for Flipside, you have Blade, Markelov, Waylander, World Edit, and Electronic. Now, that's going to be the main discussion here. Ignore that Shara name that has been scratched off. There's been a recent transition, and actually they waved goodbye to Shara, who... Yeah. I mean, let's touch on Shara before we talk about Electronic, okay?
He was probably known by some talent as well, some analysts, as probably one of the worst pro players in the scene at the moment.
Oof, okay.
So that's a quote, I think. I won't say who said it, but it has been said. And yeah, to be fair, like, he has had some good games with him, but overall he's pretty lackluster as a player. He's not like bringing any sort of star qualities really there. So to be fair, I'm sure Yanko can elaborate on it more. I don't know much about Electronic. Do we feel like that's someone that's actually going to fill this role and at least be better?
You had a cool story for us, didn't you, yesterday? Can you have
a cool story? I like cool stories.
I mean, that's the hope for Flipside, obviously. He is the new PAUF for Anders. Anders every now and then has
one of those guys.
Yeah, so he, I think, first came up on the radar at the CIS minor for Columbus. Right. I can't remember the name of the team, but later on they became Team Empire. That's how they played at the Cologne qualifiers as well. Didn't manage to get to the major, but he's been showing some good performances there. Obviously a young player, so you could see the reasoning behind Flipside. Let's bring this new, young, hungry, up-and-coming player, showing some skill as well. Maybe we can make good use of him, incorporate him into our play style.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. I just had a quick glance of, of matches he's played and kind of trying to, see what kind of, T1 teams he's encountered, how much experience he's actually boasting. And I tell you what, it's scarce. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff in the national team. He's got a couple of game results against Envy, a few Dignitas games, worst players. But
the thing is, right, we could look at results for a lot of the teams, a lot of the players that have stepped into the tier 1 scene. Look at Heroic, for example. Where did Vald come from? Like one of the most prestigious players in Denmark at the moment, I would say, considering his recent form. And he came from absolutely nowhere. He was a player that didn't even have a picture on HLTV at DreamHack Open this year, no less. And he's just exploded. Now he's kind of like a household name, a part of the Danish team. We expect him to be posting big performances every single game. It's difficult to look at those results and think, oh, okay, we'll completely rule him out at this stage. With such an unknown quantity, he certainly could step up and deliver. That's why I'm going to be watching him tonight. He's my hot player to watch.
I mean, I think we'd be foolish not to. I mean, it has to be kind of asked. Flipside 0 and 10, they decided to cut Shara. I guess, do you think this was quite genuinely just we need to change something? They just ran out of ideas.
I think it's the case of the atmosphere in the team being at an all-time low. I mean, obviously the losses take a toll on you, as Blaze said in his interview as well for HLTV, but it was obvious that something was really wrong in that team. They couldn't, it's not just the fact that they've been losing, it's just that they looked demoralized at times. They've been losing by large margins on their best maps. You could just see how after a bad moment in a game, they would completely fall apart. You could see that they go on tilt and so forth. And at that point, the roster change is the only thing that can change something like that, because you always try as a team. You like sit around the 5 guys, you know, you try to talk about it and say, okay, guys, now we start fresh. But that usually doesn't work, at least in my experience with teams. So this is maybe something to give them a to start a new fire within the team.
Well, we saw what it did to Cloud9. If you look at them, for example, like they were in a bit of a slump. You bring one new exciting player into the fold, is automatic for them, and you can see they've actually got themselves in like top 4 in the world now, according to HLTV. So that's kind of nuts, right? Sorry, that was Thorin's top 10. I think it was top 4. Anyway, but still, like a top 5 team, right? Let's show you how that's revitalized them, and sometimes that can be the catalyst to get the team back on track and maybe have a bit more firepower in there. Like I said, Shah are not known for being a great fragger. I can't even speculate on what Electronic is. I haven't watched him before, but maybe that's what he is. He's going to be a new, exciting, hungry player that's not going to be jaded by the flack he's getting from the community. He's going to give a fresh chance to actually show what he can do.
Do you think that plays a part into it? Do you think that genuinely just Flipside are looking at the threads now? They're looking at these angry tweets?
It doesn't help, like, especially like it's going to put a lot of attention on Shah, especially as a player. Like if it's like he's getting battered every single game and like he's having poor results, and then everyone's kind of talking about him specifically, he's hard to ignore at some point. So I sure had contributing factors, but ultimately, as a team, you don't really want to be reading into that stuff too much. It's like, you know what's best for the team overall, right? Reading the forums and stuff definitely doesn't have any sort of value to it.
And now we have to address the maps as well. The maps in question is going to be Overpass, and I didn't write down the second. Nuke, actually, it isn't going to be Nuke.
Nuke?
Yes, Nuke's showing up.
Well, the thing with these kind of lower tier teams, especially like someone like PENTA, they're very difficult to actually kind of like counter-strat, right? Like a lot of teams won't give them a lot of attention coming into this one, and they actually have a lot more time to practice these kind of more exotic maps, if you will. They're not going to events every single week. So this is why they probably had the chance to actually have that unknown quantity against some of these top teams and get themselves in positions where they're getting close games. And maps like Nuke coming in as well, I think that's kind of perfect for them. And I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. But have you watched PENTA on Nuke before? I can't say I have, so I'm not really sure what they're going to bring to the table. I would speculate, though, it's going to actually be a much more deeper game than what we see from some of the top tier teams who rely basically on the kind of the standard smokes outside and trying to work the picks, and they don't really bring much to the table in terms of those executions. I'm going to say PENTA do the opposite of that, and I'm going to say they have a plethora of strategies and actually have lots of executions here. So
having high expectations from
PENTA. I really do. This is I feel like I can really bring to the analyst desk on this time, because I haven't watched them play Nuke, so I'm just going to speculate. You know?
I don't think I share your enthusiasm, to be honest, because it's hard most of the times when it comes to, at least, okay, this is a specific situation because Flipside isn't really a tier 1 team, but actually when you look across the pool, the teams that are best at playing maps are those teams that are best at running defaults and not having like a crazy preset execute. Okay, like when SK runs this execute, it works every time, because obviously a new one might work in the beginning, but then people will figure it out and develop a counter to it. Nuke is a bit more specific, I agree, since it's still kind of new. We're still waiting for someone to come up with something really extraordinary, but yeah, I don't really think PENTA is the team that we're going to see it from.
They're not going to be extraordinary. I just feel like they'll have something. They won't just be running their standard defaults as every start.
That's exactly what I'm expecting from them, to be honest.
Okay, well, we'll find out.
And maybe an NIP upper execute or something like that.
I just feel like they will have a lot more, because they have a lot more time to practice than other teams. That's what I'm saying. Hi.
Please don't blow your load too soon.
I've been known to do that.
It's Overpass first. We've got a whole 10 minutes to talk about Nuke later. I know PENTA vs Flipside
does get a bit distracted, so we felt like we had to, you know,
the bottom of the barrel. I appreciate that. The reason for that is that there has been a little bit of a delay. The good guys are going to be back in the server for about 4 minutes.
Okay, then let's do this.
Yeah, you want to do this? So we have 4 minutes to talk about a topic of your choice, ideally involving the video game.
Denim.
Denim shirts. Are they comfortable?
Yes. Depends how you wear them. Depends how you wear them.
If you're in the 80s.
If you're as rock and roll as Henry G, you make them comfortable. Fabric conditioner. Also, I don't know if they can pick it up, but
yes, they definitely can. The producer came in and said, "Stop squeaking the chairs." So maybe they can pick them up.
How can you hear him? I can't hear him
because I'm listening.
Yeah. Well, he does. You guys are so loud, I can't even hear what he's saying. Not at all.
Okay, so we'll go practice not moving the chairs. Alex, keep this ship on course, would you? Where are we going with this one? Denim shirts is probably the correct area. Why don't we talk about players like World Edit? Why don't we go down that?
Because we've done it 1,000 times.
Have we done that already here?
We've done everything 1,000 times.
Just because World Edit because I don't like talking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well,
I
vetoed that. Was my input.
I appreciate your attempt.
This is not even denim. This is like a nice... What do you even call this? Alex, you felt it earlier.
It's
bit of Italian down there as well.
There. Wow, that's a good camera.
That's the money shot right there.
Wow,
nice
Henry, lovely.
That's the rings.
And the rings and the... I've got lots of jewelry, Alex. You know about that.
Yeah, I do.
Not just the ones you can see.
No. It's like, you know, tattoos. You don't actually know how many someone has.
All sorts of rings Henry has.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Solid words. So I brought a topic. That's my point, mate.
Okay, my turn.
You make a point. Go on.
Why is it that, you know, the Markelov of 1.6 never transferred to CSGO?
That is the most boring conversation we've ever had.
He's just like speaking these extremely painful topics for me. Alex, please
We've
stop.
had that so many times, Alex. Come on, you know that.
These guys are not particularly exciting to talk about. We've talked about them 1,000 times.
Oh, come on.
Okay, here are the topics. Here are the flip side topics. Blade, in-game leader, sometimes top frags. Markelov's fallen off 1,000 times. World edit, sometimes good, sometimes bad. We've talked about Electronic coming in. We've talked about Waylander being hyper Katowice and then coming back and actually not being too good anymore. Nor 0 and 10. Those are the flip side topics.
Let's go to Penta topics.
Okay. Lau and Kairi. Kairi was taken away, so we lost the Spaniards. Now just Lau's alone. They think he's going to get poached later because he's the best player in the team. Stefan's joined in so they can play the Meisterschaft. That's about it for Penta. Thank you very much for joining in.
Your heart's not in this anymore.
Is it not?
No, I can tell.
That's genuinely it. That's it. Okay.
Why don't we talk about the map then?
I think it's always...
You said we didn't do Overpass yet. So
yeah, okay, fine. We haven't done Overpass.
Yanko knows a lot about the flip side Overpass setups, so... Why don't you break it down for us?
Thank you, Henry. Really,
he does. You got so much to tell us.
Yeah, definitely. My next video is going to be about flip side, T-side overpass.
Is it?
Definitely not.
But you got me so excited. Okay.
Nevertheless,
something to talk about.
I
Yes,
think we can.
Something.
I think we can talk about these teams and you know them playing in a league like this, more so for Penta than for Flipside, because I remember when we initially as a team got the chance to first practice against the Tier 1 teams and then on a very limited number of occasions play them in official games. It just means so much for you, for a new team and players who have never played at that level internationally or of competitiveness. I mean, some of the Penta players have Crystal, most notably, right? Playoffs at 3 majors, I think, with Penta. 2 for sure, but maybe even 3. I'm not 100% sure about it. But then you see the difference between being a dominant player at a semi-pro level and then coming to the highest level of play. You see how even the smallest mistakes you'll get punished for, and you just learn a whole new different level of CS. You'll see how things work at that level and how you can use things to your advantage. So the first couple of months are probably just a learning process. You get wrecked by everyone, but you see, you begin to understand why and how you're getting wrecked. And that's when you can start improving as a team.
And I think you've just gone and hit a very interesting topic to discuss. Nice work, Yanko. We got there. So this is basically, we always treat this, even at the highest level, the T1 teams, we always say the Pro League is a very, very good opportunity to do your real, like the hardcore practice, right? Because you're playing against the best.
Okay, so there's a difference between practicing in a full practice environment and practicing in these games. So if you're playing PCWs, right, if you're playing an online game of CS, it's your practice. You're not playing to win those games. You're practicing to actually just get the team fundamentals down, the executions that you've been dry running on your own server, using that practice to actually get those solid as a unit. You're not actually playing to win. Surely winning the game is great and it feels good at the time, but ultimately you just want to be getting everything in place and making sure it runs and everything's in its position. Transitioning that to something like Pro League, when it's an online game, sure, we don't really value online CS as highly as we do LAN, but it's an environment where it's competitive and you need to be making correct decisions and kind of understanding how we're controlling our economy. What are the problems here when we approach LAN events? And that's the difference between online officials, which aren't great in terms of like how much we respect them, but in terms of compared to online practice, and the PCWs are obviously much greater for you.
Just a quick point before you jump in, Yanko. There is so much reason to respect them as well. Like, I think sometimes, you know, we sit there and go, what on earth are they doing? And then you actually kind of think about it and go, guys, if you'd have won that, you'd have still been within a shot of getting to a $750,000 LAN environment. You know, like sometimes it does seem like there's a bit of a weird discrepancy between the two.
I think a good way to describe it is once you get to that Tier 1 level of Counter-Strike, you realize that the way you thought you're going to win a game isn't really how it's going to work, right? You start losing and then you realize, okay, so we just copied this execute from a Tier 1 team, let's say, you know, the NIPB execute on train, but then you realize, okay, so, but we can't really run it whenever we want because it depends on the situation. So there you feel, oh, so this is how it, so we need to figure out what they're doing and then have something to counter that. And that's when the real hard work comes into play, right? Realizing what are the most common setups, how you can get reads, how to push back your opponents, how to make them play your game. And that's a process for a team, for an in-game leader more than anything else, but also individually players need to adjust to playing against better opponents, right? Players who have more skill mechanically. You can't just run out and go for a duel because your head will get blown off if your opponent has an advantage and so forth.
And we haven't really seen PENTA. I mean, I always want to kind of point out that you've outlined some great points about, you know, moving from Premier to Pro. It's a great example looking at PENTA.
Sure.
But you can't help but feel, for someone that has made that transition from Premier to Pro, they've actually kind of done an incredibly good job. The fact that you said already they're going to be making, you know, mistakes, or they're going to be falling into these traps where they would have won it versus Premier, but they can't win it versus Pro. However, they're sitting there posting wins versus Stralis,
overtimes as well,
versus some of the best in the world.
Like a few different variables going into those games. They've actually had a few more wins there, very close ones, lots of overtimes there as well. And they're a team, like I said, I think not enough people are giving them enough respect in terms of like working out how they play. No one's going to be downloading their demos. I don't think they'll be not wasting time. That's probably the wrong expression, but it's just not worth the effort of trying to counter-strat a team like PENTA, someone you consider yourself to be much higher than, right?
And also it's hard to get some info on vetoes as well. You can't really be sure what they like to play, what they don't like to play. You might end up playing their best map, which is what Astralis did at ECS finals against TSM. In a best of one, they ended up playing TSM's best map because of lack of research, and that's something you obviously don't want to go for.
Great point to end on, Alex.
It absolutely is. The casters are ready. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, guys. Just to put it into perspective, PENTA have lost 13 matches. However, in 10 of them, the score was 10 or above. They're pushing it to the limit, the maximum, to closing in on those 30 rounds almost every single time. Looking forward to seeing if they can pick up the win here against free win Flipside. 0-10 currently in the league. Let's have a look how it plays out.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you for Henry G's chest hair for redefining masculinity for the next generation. Sponge, I'm here with you, mate. First time on the desk. Shoes are already off, just the way it should be. Pluggers on the ground. I like it. Do you have anything to add to what was discussed here early on? I mean, we kind of covered everything. There's always a bunch of tropes that we talk about when it comes to Flipside, like exactly what the guys sort of covered over. I mean, it's Overpass. It's the mini Na'Vi that can't seem to win any games. You know, ostensibly, you'd probably say this is Flipside's one of their better maps.
Yeah, I agree with that. They babbled a lot, so I didn't take it all in. You know, without me there guiding the desk, it seemed a bit off. But no, I definitely think that this is one of the better maps for Flipside. The problem that I see them having is this new edition of Electronic. I don't know, you know, it seems like they've only had 2 days. It seems like this was a rash decision after DreamHack Bucharest, and they've just gone, well, we need to change something. If this was planned in advance, it probably would have happened before DreamHack Bucharest. So unless they're playing, you know, 12 hours a day to get all these things fixed up, they're going to struggle with synergy and chemistry and all that kind of jazz.
That's a good point. Obviously, if this was planned, it would have happened before the last event. So Flipside obviously having a rush in a replacement here for Shara. It's Overpass, ladies and gentlemen, as we did just mention, and not a sterling record really for either of these teams, but eyes are trained on Flipside, as this was once upon a time one of their maps to go to. In recent times, it has been, well, the rug has been drawn out from under them. But we're going to jump into the pistol here as well, quickly enough, of course. It's going to be PENTA on the CT side, and Markelov, the sole player inside Underpass at this stage, going to be pressured heavily here and wants to try and use the corner to his advantage, but it's not going to work out. Waylander falls elsewhere on the map, and now Electronic is split off from the rest of his team. Obviously, Blade and World edited it through towards the middle of the map, and now, well, Flipside have got to play from behind. Blade still has plenty of utility, and there's a smoke behind him here just to cut off anyone working through Underpass. Flash over the top, and an imminent plant here, so Flipside at least have that chance, but PENTA, they are converging. And that nade, not too bad. Getting the damage done, but Electronic did find Mike S from the side, and now Flipside in decent positions to hold. There's 3 players actually coming out here from the ramp. Try and pressure down now as his bomb is ticking away. Blade gets another one, but Tarson shuts him down. Now the 2v2. Electronic's holding a very wide angle, and now is in a 1v2 situation as well that it falls on long. And then got the USP off of Mike, so that may help for this longer range stuff. But again, he's got a player defusing there as well. He needs to cut through both. He might be able to do this one. Defuse not going to be forthcoming. Electronic, decent start for him. 3 kills to cap the round off.
Showing his worth early there. That was a really aggressive pistol round from PENTA. They managed to take sewer control, and they pushed up on A as well. And Flipside still managed to find the gap into the A side and get that bomb down. That's always such a hard position to even play a 2v1 from, like PENTA was in, because you can just play around that bathroom area and just jiggle pick in and out, and that's what Electronic did and secured the round.
Easily enough as well. Now, on the back of that one, Flipside, of course, going to be buying up a little bit more. PENTA the Force looks like Crystal with a scout and a few 5-7s mixed around the team. Also a deagle for LOL here. Waylander testing mid. Just a couple taps here with the UMP, trying to keep PENTA honest if he can. Waylander actually gets a bit of damage on the Stefan there as well, but quickly PENTA going to try and activate themselves here from this long point, but a good nade thrown by Waylander there to clean off Stefan, and LOL now being pressured behind the tree. This needs to be some pretty fancy footwork, a bit of twinkle toes to get him out of this one. And eventually, Blade backs away. Mike S got aggressive in towards the middle of the map. This attracted the attention elsewhere, and then lol, his second chance doesn't come up nearly as pretty. And now Crystal with the 1v3 flip side, fairly comfortably pushing through. Now Crystal, very aggressive angle, pushing out around the side. Gets himself tagged at both plays here, so actually a decent position to play from. You can win these, but it won't be the case. It's going to be Markov to pick him off. PENTA go for the 3-man stack on long, Chad. Not so successful.
I don't really like that. If you're going to buy a scout, give it a chance to tag up the enemy and then use your pistols in the close range and finish them off. They didn't even give that scout a chance to hurt anybody before all the pistol upgrades were dead. So maybe something a little bit more passive or something, you know, where they could have used that scout to their advantage, but it seems like a waste of money.
Sort of Crystal being too passive with a scout. Do you think he could have done more? I think it was someone else who actually rushed mid there, Mike S even.
Yeah, just a bad strat, I think. Trying to jump scout into the sewer at B, not really the most effective place for this on this map. Anywhere towards A where you can take long-range duels would have been better, but now with the flash and the full eco that we're seeing here, they need to do something as a unit. And what I like to see teams do is lure them into the toilets, you know, use a pop flash when they're still at that party area and pounce out, but looks like they're pretty spread out. They're not... Here comes a flash towards long now. There's nobody really pushed up that far, so it could be a waste.
Well, that actually is going to peek around. It doesn't really affect him. He didn't really mean to turn it, but he was looking away at the time. So PENTA again focused a lot of players towards this part of the map. They're actually going to be able to pick themselves up on Mac 10. Crystal hoping to get good use with it at the very least. And Blade to smoke in. It's Electronic over on the B side there. Finds Stefan who leapt down from the safety, of course, of Heaven. And Markov is also close by. So Flipside easily being able to rotate here out through of that underpass. And Tarsian is cut down. Crystal not too far behind as well. That was the Mac 10 in hand there for PENTA. Probably their best chance at inflicting some real damage here. And Mike S and Lola caught together with no armor and just a collection of pistols between them. And they're going to struggle here, Chad.
That's the problem. If you do a pop flash strat like that and you only find one guy and he's able to give that information, you can quickly go and take the other bomb site. And Electronics didn't even second guess it. He got straight in there, secured B, got the kills he needed to, and Flipside, you know, no dramas now. They're just chilling out.
Very much so. As Electronic with his third, had a couple nice rounds, to be fair. The pistol, if you do recall, was not bad from him either. And now it is Lowell. We'll be waiting for this time to tick down. He has himself the Deagle, but won't be getting too much use with that at this stage. Maybe hoping for something long range. You can throw the Hail Mary in every now and then. But again, PENTA committing a lot of players towards long, hoping to overwhelm and only find maybe an isolated player there, which is not enough really, especially if they're giving away the Ghost. And that's going to be also the Deagle given away. So Markov picks that one up here, Flipside, with those first three, and now into the first buy to see what PENTA come up with here. Obviously, no kills yet for Stefan and Mike S, but the latter has picked himself up an AWP here.
I think you got two choices right now if you Flipside. You either go really slow, which is their style, bleed out the opponent's utility, and then do an execute on the side, or go fast and pounce on them. You know, they can't use, you know, they won't have many Molotovs and stuff to work with, and there's a high probability you can overwhelm them with your guns. And it looks like they're going for the standard slow style Flipside here, so nothing out of the ordinary for these guys.
No, I mean, we see them always leave the bomb right back near their spawn. Sometimes it gets uncovered. PENTA, if anyone's going to be able to sort of pull off a flank or have the desire to, it's normally Crystal. We often see him come from very odd angles later on in rounds for PENTA, as he likes to really get in up close and personal. And sometimes that allows him to completely break enemy lines here. So it's just a flash in towards Courtyard. Flipside just checking their corners here, making sure there's not a strong presence for PENTA here. We do see a lot of teams really try and pressure this area quite heavily as CTs to stop the Ts having flexibility between the two sites, but that's not a peak you want to go for.
Well, that was pretty nice. They just, you know, took those duels and there was no utility on PENTA to stop that. Crystal's going to trade one out, but this round looks like it's going to go in the favor of Flipside as they're now in a 2v4.
Tarsin and Stefan, they're both grouped up on the A side here, so a couple smokes have been thrown. Just one of them was probably via Tarsin's hand there as well. So a bit of a fake potentially. Well did it. He's going to circle back for the bomb and maybe even take this one to B now. Electronic again finds himself well and truly dug in up on that B side, but not actually able to finish the kill on towards Tarsin here. Leaves him with 19 points of health. But Well did it still seems to be fairly adamant here to pressure towards B. Tarsin actually backed away. I think he's even towards bank or, yeah, very, very close to there. So Well did it will be able to move on towards his site. And Markov and Blade will bring it up.
Accidentally double faked the CTs there, making them rotate back and forth because they left the bomb at T-spawn. Pretty funny to see. Looks like all of the members now have regrouped towards B and now they just trade out and take this. I don't think Tarsin on 19 HP can pull this one out.
Not after losing Stefan there up on the high ground. Well did it again with the AWP, and there's Blade to finish it off. 4-0 here for Flipside. The first gun round goes by with not too much of an incident here. Flipside able to control this one fairly well. Crystal had an opportunity there and through toilets, but when you can only trade out there in a situation where you could be in a good position to stymie the T side, especially pushing towards A, was no good. So He's having a better game. Markloff as well.
I like what we're seeing from Electronic here. Like, he's taking risks, you know? Like, he's going a bit out of that Blade restrictive low-risk Counter-Strike, and he's taking map territory, which is something that's really good for Flipside. It's giving them a chance to, you know, work around the map and poke and prod, and if he keeps that up, it'll be nice to see, because I don't remember Shara really, you know, being too aggressive of a player, and maybe that's what Flipside have needed.
It's interesting, actually, because Blade is quite heavy-handed when it comes to how he manages his team and how he sort of likes to play the game. I remember speaking to him as well, trying to have a sort of a normal conversation with him, but he wasn't about it. He did want to discuss very much the tactical side of what Flipside were up to there. It seems very important to him. So early on, Marquez falling there, well dead with the AWP for Party. It's definitely not Stefan's birthday, that's for sure. Waylander going to be able to pressure down as well. Tarsin falls. Lol, though, gets himself into a decent position. That's the player you want to take down. Gets himself an AWP and able to keep Flipside at arm's length, at least in this position now. The bomb still being dropped back. Crystal will have to attend towards the B side at some point here. As Flipside are already making inroads. Blade unsure if that bomb's recovered. You know, there's always going to be a thought in the back of your head there. If you are Flipside, it's like, have they found our bomb yet? Because we tend to leave it so far back. And that's a cheap kill there going the way of Penta.
They could find themselves in trouble if they keep doing this and Penta get map control, because it's going to mean while they go back to get that bomb, somebody has to stop watching a part of the map. So timing could play a factor when the player is running back to get the bomb. And they're doing a lot of damage with this eco so far.
Well, I mean, the AWP of LoL definitely making it count. Crystal with an AK, so Penta have everything they really need in this situation. 2 Molotovs, to whatever use that may sort of come to in the end. They're going to let them go now, at least both of them coming out. Blade inside pit, got a position to sort of jump up on this situation. He's going to see Crystal as he crosses, but not enough damage being done. In fact, none at all. Now, the Molotov burns in front of Blade. He goes low, but not low enough. Crystal gets him eventually with the Molotov, but Markloff is there to shut things down and make sure this doesn't go any further than it should. So 5 rounds for Flipside on the board here, Chad, but we've seen a couple situations in which Penta have been able to bring it close, but their eco round there was far more successful than their gun round, but prior, another chance perhaps to try and do a little bit better than that round number 4.
I noticed that last night as well, that Penta had pretty good like eco or force buy rounds compared to some of their gun rounds, and I don't know if it's a mentality thing or what, but they seem to be more effective, you know, when they have nothing to lose, which is, maybe they should play their gun rounds like that, and they might have won on the board so far.
Lol, the timing now, so Mike S, should I say, the timing wasn't great. He's trying to peek in towards Underpass, and Markloff had already sent a flash in his direction. Electronic likes to establish these positions here and just sort of sit and wait, but that flash is really going to hurt, and Tarsin does the duty, the dirty work. Let it be that way. That was easy enough, of course, as Electronic could not see a thing. A Molotov for Blade, just to know he's not going to get pushed by short there, as he does tend a little bit more towards the middle of the map. Again, the bomb, if you see on the minimap, being left well and truly back here for Flipside. They're not convinced, and this is very much the Blade style of CS here. They're going to make sure they have their bets hedged correctly, and they know which option they can take.
This is also an issue with that bomb. I keep harping on about it, but if they made 2 quick picks on one part of the map and they wanted to take that site really quickly, they're not going to be able to do it. They're going to have to leave members back to wait for the guy while he runs back to get that bomb. And I would like to see it a little bit closer, you know, maybe even above the ladder would be a better position than, you know, that deep.
No one with it in hand. It's Markloff that eventually went back to pick it up there as well. That slower style of Flipside now. We're starting to see the more lethal edge to it revealed later into the round, but they are at a man disadvantage here. And Penta are going to be ready to respond to this. They're pressuring both sides almost simultaneously here, but it's just welded out on his own towards A. He's hoping to get something going on, but no, Marquez shuts him down. Marquez won't see a lot of other action going on. He'll be able to tell the rest of his team that the action is going down at B, as Stefan now will be waiting to receive as Lol and Waylander do trade their lives out. Bomb goes down, Stefan unsuccessful in any attempt to throw the spanner in the works, but it's still a man advantage here for Penta. They're still keeping themselves ahead of the game with Lol finding Markloff. Blade is in the pit here, going to be surrounded in just a few moments. The bomb was down, but this will be Penta's first chance to break into the game.
Blade doesn't really have any hope here. Going to get found pretty easily. Penta played that well. They had, you know, they had that sewer control, so they knew, you know, we can get that flank in, and just a matter of time before they found those last 2 players. I would like to see, you know, when you go down a man on the T side, you can just group up and you can still just walk to a bomb site as a pack, and you know you're only going to, if you went to A, it's highly likely that you're only going to find 2 guys there. So if you just walked as a pack, you could trade out successfully and get the site and put yourself in, you know, potentially a 2v2 situation. When you spread out like that, like World is so committed into that A site, sure, you know, he held Mike S there for a little bit longer, but the inevitable happened and Penta were able to trade out the round and take it pretty easily in the end.
Why are you doing that? Why are you sending that one player over towards A when you've got 3 players pressuring B as a T-side team?
Maybe he was just like, I'm too committed, I'm going to go for a pick. at that point, I'm not sure. Like, the AWP is what you want to entry into sites. Well, definitely the way that Flipside play. So it's weird not to have him with the pack. But here we go. World edit. There he is with an entry.
Yeah, that was over on B here. Crystal, though, going to hold the fort for now in party. Waylander will try to press him through the smoke. If he doesn't quite have the angle, had to go for the off flick, and Crystal finds him again. 2 players down for Flipside through the middle of the map. Now, this should certainly whittle down their opportunities a little bit here. World edit still fancies, again, splitting off from, well, to a degree at least, from the rest of his team, but Markloff is going to be an underpass here. Flipside still would like to pressure a bit of a man advantage at where they can on the map. But after those 2 kills, Crystal has looped back around, and he's got himself set up in the toilet block here. So no easy picks for Flipside at this stage. They're hoping to play 2 players up here. They've got the utility to work this one out, Chad. They've got 5 flashes to try and pressure Crystal. Do they check this, though? Surely you checked it. They don't. And it's going to be Electronic now on his own. World edit. And Markaloff actually fell earlier on there. That was Mike S over on the ace side. 1 man up against 3, and it's not going to be remotely enough. Not close for Flipside there.
Penta did as well last night as like versus Na'Vi. They play quite aggressive, and what happens is when you get a pick and don't die, you can fall back into a better line, and they have to clear all the angles for you. But Flipside didn't even bother checking the toilets there, and peekaboo, there's Crystal.
5 flashes between them.
Yeah, no need to make any noise, boys. Let's just walk into his crosshair.
Well, sometimes with Flipside, the way that they play these rounds out so slowly, they don't always have the time to check every corner. But now they're going to be a little bit more expedient about this whole process. Stefan now going to be forced back by Molotov and gunned down as the flames lick at his corpse. Lol, though, trying to respond. He finds Waylander, and now we're looking at Tarsing here after Lol already found 2. You can see the kill feed filling up here. So some initial damage was done. Flipside managed to penetrate this side, and that's well there again. Pistol work, P250 headshots. Chad, I know you love them, but Lol will eventually shut this party down. 4 kills for him for the round.
Pretty easy mop up there in the end. I like the change of pace. I wish they'd do it with guns, you know. Give us a little bit of action with those rifles, a hard B or a set B execute off the bat. Something a little bit, you know, something that Flipside aren't really known for would be a nice change.
Do you think that's a real big problem for them? The fact that they always want to play it out quite slow and methodical. Do you think they benefit from throwing in some fast executes here and there, or is this just their style?
Yeah, well, even like Na'Vi, who we say these guys are the mini Na'Vi, they know that they need to throw in, you know, speed and set executes off the bat occasionally. So Flipside, they must know that it's a part of the game, but it's just something they seem to avoid. I can't really put my finger on why. Maybe that's just the way Blade sees the game being played. You know, it's like chess. We make one move, they make another, and we go from there. There's a lot of you rely on, you know, random picks or random timings or luck in rushes sometimes. You know, you catch a player off guard or somebody's not watching, and there's always that element to a rush that you can't quantify. When you play slow, you know what's happening. You know you're checking your corners, you're getting your map territory and all that kind of stuff.
Flipside would like to be quite thorough, but again, a minute left in this round here, so they've already squandered, well, not squandered, but they've used half of it. The egg timer is ticking, no doubt about it here. Electronic will be the man to go first here. He's joined by Waylander or World edit, but this is not still what you'd call a fast execute. This is slow. They still haven't really put any of this limited utility to the test. Now some of these smokes are going to be coming in now, and a Molotov in towards the toxic corner. Stefan wasn't standing there anyway, but Crystal found one in towards middle, so player picking out of Overpass, or underpass, should I say. And Waylander finds Tarsian though. Markaloff with control now of the middle of the map. He finds Crystal, and Stefan has the challenge here as well. He's running out of teammates. Can't quite see through the smoke. Can't even find Waylander there. Electronic was ready to receive and managed to finish the job quite admirably. Now 2v4. I'll make it a 1v4. Nice work by Electronic there. Managing to protect the bomb area quite effectively.
See, Flipside seemed like they had a plan then, right? They definitely wanted to go towards B. They had the bomb. They had numbers towards B, and that's what they wanted to do. The other rounds, it just looks like they're defaulting, aiming to wait for pushes and then collect map territory, and it hasn't been working for them. So if they go into the rounds, they can still go slow, but at least have a game plan. You know, have a goal from the start. Understand that you could get pushed or you know, attacked from other parts of the map, but you know, with intent, I think they'll do better.
Are you more likely to go for just a stack of defaults against a team you maybe don't have a lot of information on, or maybe haven't done your homework on? Like, for example, Flipside don't know much about PENTA. Do you think they're going to lean on a default more?
Well, this is something which I want to talk about earlier, is that if you're in a match like this, or any match, one team is going to play their style. If both teams play their style, then whichever style's better will prevail. But sometimes people counter and they go with gambit plays or whatever to catch people off guard. But it looks like both teams right now are playing the same style that I've seen them in the past. So I don't think Flipside are doing anything unusual for them, and nor are PENTA. But if Flipside, you know, now it looks like they're adapting to play with more intent as opposed to just doing those defaults. So I don't think, if you consider yourself the better team, then you're going to play your style no matter what.
Interesting angle there for World Edit, though. Finds Crystal. There's definitely a stylistic tendency here, but Mike S is able to respond fairly nicely. There's two players stacked up on long there, Lol being the more forward one behind the tree. He got peppered earlier on in this same position, but this time things working out a little bit better for him. Goes for the peak there as well and gets on towards Waylander. That's 2, and that is going to cut Flipside down on this part of the map pretty severely. Markelov, a flash over the top. Will he challenge his corner? No, just wants the bomb, just in case someone was coming to try and hold the tight angle. He will back away here and try and work with Electronic. Just 2 players left, but selecting a bomb site like B wouldn't be terrible in this situation for them. It's not exactly a stark presence for Flipside over on that part of the map, nor is it for Penta. Don't have a lot of people dug in close on that site. Tarsin, in fact, he is there in a safe position. It's unlikely he really challenges this. Just tries to pass over any of the word that's going on. So with a smoke, you can essentially cut that part of the map off. You can get yourself at least a plant here for Flipside. But Stefan has now made his way up on towards that crow's nest. He saw Electronic. He was on his screen so blatantly there, but misses the first couple of shots. Still knows he's there at the very least, and a 2v2 up on this site. Bomb going to go down, though. Penta have allowed this to happen.
It's quite clear that they want to play retake on this B site, so Flipside should make a move here. They're not going to. They're just going to play standard and hope they make the kills, but you need to be proactive in this situation because Penta clearly want to play retake, and you're playing into their hands by falling back, sitting back. You need to maybe go for a double peek or something because they're coming to the side here, and Stefan not going to get that kill.
The spray from Markelov, just desperately hoping those last couple of bullets would hit the head, just peeking above the concrete, but no, they do fall wide and he falls down. It's going to be another round coming up here for Penta. And they're more than happy to play the slow, methodical retake scenario there as Flipside were already with that man disadvantage. Just let the time tick down, play the war of attrition, and they come out on top here. So, relatively close game here, some back and forth stuff. That being said, Flipside losing those 2 players, or 3 towards long there as well. They should be starting to realise that Penta do put a lot of emphasis on that part of the map. They put 1 to 2 players on long. Often it's Lol up front here. They did this even in the pistol round to try and catch Flipside off.
They're picking map territory and they're taking it early. As a unit, you know, they've been taking that sewer section at B, or like you said, they've been stacking towards long at A. So it's almost a gamble as where you're going to send your players and how many you're going to be confronted with. And we saw Na'Vi struggle with that last night. Like, they didn't have a great T side. It was the CT side which pushed them across on this map. And if Flipside can get maybe 7 rounds, I think maybe even 6 they'd be happy with. But that 7 round will be icing on the cake, I think. They've had a pretty good half so far.
So winning the first 5 there for Flipside was a good start. So Penta are able to break back in and just try and halt this advance a little bit. And you see that now in this round. I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but it's been a couple pistols brought up here for Flipside, mixed in with a couple of AKs. So neither team really has a steady economy because of the nature of these rounds been back and forth. But Mike S looks to try and even the ledger. He actually doesn't connect that first shot. Stefan takes a bit of damage, but Crystal always lurking off towards the side. The right-hand man of Mike S gets it done. Somehow, Lol finds himself in an incredibly compromising position there and towards the middle of the map, and he can't escape. Waylander finds him with the pistol. And this is Flipside buying in with arguably less to work with, and they managed to make it an even game at 3-3. They still have an AWP to play around, but so does Mike S. And that grenade as well. Going to shave a little bit of health off Waylander.
I was about to call them out for bad trading on the T side there, but they traded from like different angles. They weren't together to clear out those zones, but they were still able to trade from their positions on the map, which, you know, it's not ideal. You kind of want a buddy to help you get that kill. And they're going to make their way into the A site really easily now. There's 2 crisp frags, and Stefan with a lot to do. Has utility to work with, though.
And the Molotov does go out. He's got a couple of flashes to, facilitate his approach towards this side now. One does come out. He sees a player towards Bank, or at least he possibly should have there. Trying to spray in the direction of Optimus, but Waylander a little bit too sharp in this particular round. He's gotten himself 3 at that. Nice push there for Flipside on towards that A side. This time, the long presence wasn't nearly as strong, and Crystal was only able to get himself that 1 kill. Lol might have been trying to assist them maybe from underpass and work his way through here, but 7-4 it is. That's the icing on the cake, Chad.
Well, they're going to get another one, I think, here. The money for Penta is in the bin, as I say. Not looking too good. They've got a couple of pistols and a couple of flashes, but it's going to be hard to get something done here. Full utility on Flipside, and if they take this methodically like they have been, they should be able to clear out these close angles with Molotovs and make their way onto a site.
I mean, that's kind of one thing that kind of works in Flipside's favour here. Their style is pretty darn good at dealing with, entrenched CTs with less good weapons, I suppose. But sometimes they don't check these corners. Remember that round earlier on, they had the flash, and again, they're going to get cut down here. Mike S coming through, but Welder gets himself 2. It's going to be Mike S falls as the bullet comes through Tarsin's backside and lands in towards him. Bit messy, but they'll take it. Only losing Waylander for that one. They'd like to make it a cleaner round, but close to the end of the half and looking down the barrel of their 8th, they really can't be complaining too much.
It looks like Flipside only want to go aggressive when they have almost nothing to lose, or that you know, they have a clear advantage. So the 2 times we've seen them go fast is they took an eco onto the B side, and this time, you know, they know that Penta on eco and they're going fast long. Long is probably the best spot to go, especially when you have AKs and AWPs, because you can take the long range duels. You're not too worried about the pistols. You finish them off pretty easily, and that's what they did too.
Well, they checked the corner this time. Didn't need a flash to do it, but, you know, expecting, of course, Penta not really having a heck of a lot to work with here. So this is sort of the first time for the half that Flipside's economy has stabilized, barring the sort of first 5 rounds where they managed to get ahead. And it's almost done already. Only a couple more rounds in this one. 3 to be exact now. Round 13 coming through, and Penta again, that's that double eco territory that you hate to see teams get put in, but that is exactly where Penta exists right now. 3 kits of armor and 4 flashes to work with now. So again, they're going to stack long out, like they kind of have been the whole game really in any round where they're behind. So a little bit predictable maybe, because Flipside have just walked in towards the B side and they've claimed it as their own.
Electronics has pushed right up again. They've got all this information. They know they're not here. So at this point, now they've seen the Deagle, they're going to assume another eco, and it's just battening down the hatches now and waiting for Penta to try and retake us. Wow, World is going to smash off Crystal's head there. See you later, mate.
Yeah, oh, mate, thought he could have a couple peeks with the Deagle. No good. Michael off in a decent position for a bit of a spray down. Yep, that's 2 already falling, and LB challenged out by a couple more, but Lol manages to get the better of him. The 5-7 gets the job done, but guess who's on the other side of the door? It's not Johnny, it's World Edit. But it gets shut in his face. Mike S, very audacious play. They're coming out there with the pistol, and Mike S surely shouldn't be hitting this one now. Being sprayed down, had the armor in hand. Any extra damage that Penta can really do at this stage would be good. Might be a cheeky flash through the window just in case anyone tries to challenge, but no, Blade opts to just back away. So we've had enough for today. Probably he would be the least likely to take unnecessary challenges, but Lol catches Waylander out. Flipside cut down to 2 guns by the end of the round. I guess the silver lining is that, plus the fact that Penta get to buy back in here, but you know, it doesn't really do much to slow Flipside down, Shab, when they can probably just buy back again.
Yeah, the only help is if they do lose this round, 2 of their players are going to have a bit more money going into the last. Yeah, the silver lining is, you know, we're going to have an extra gun or 2 if we struggle right now, but I want to see something fast out of Flipside. Give me something exciting, Flipside. Come on. Nope. Oh, well.
You might be asking too much. I can just see Blade's head shaking slowly back and forth like the Bond villain I always thought he was born to be. Has a look for it, but well, they had to back away there. Molotov just at his feet. Stefan and Tarsin with fairly aggressive positions over on the B side there, willing to just fight off any interlopers.
They have taken map control earlier, which is good to see. Means that now they can waste out utility from Penta quicker, because if you know a team's going to play slow, you just start to hold on to your utility. This is a good way to keep them honest, showing a bit of map presence earlier in the round, and this boost by Electronic could be cheeky here. He's seen him. Nice frag onto Stefan.
Yeah, always a bit of an entry. Maybe that killer edge coming in with Electronic that Flipside have been looking for, a team that's usually quite subdued, sometimes by necessity, sometimes by strategy. Now Electronic showing a little bit of that aggression. Maybe the X factor they've been waiting for so long. Mike S was in a decent spot, but it's a very tight angle to make, and he does miss it. Lol look to try and challenge his side out yet again. It's a shoulder peek from Blade, just a tickle there, enough to keep Lol on the tips of his toes. And in the meantime, the rest of Flipside sneak on in. Lol, the spray down, working out for him this time. But Mike S and Lol just stacked together here as well. Don't really fancy a boost.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to sit in that Molotov either. Should like be easy to defend after plant. They don't have a lot of utility to hold them back with, but, you know, Mike S on 18 HP, he can't take one wrong peek or he's out.
Time ticking down now, bomb ticking away. World Edit finds Crystal on the top, so that was maybe the chance, the opening there, just to get rid of the backstop on the side and allow for Penta to actually get a bit more aggressive, but Lol actually takes a big old step back, but Waylander takes a bit of real estate of his own. Now Mike on his own with 18.
He was running away before the team had even decided if they were saving or going for it, so he had made up his mind, and the other 2 were kind of committed to that. Not what you want to see.
Yeah, you think if Mike S had made it clear that he was backing away that was saving, that Lol wouldn't have even bothered challenging or staying around. But Electronic does fall, catches an AWP bullet mid-flight there as Mike S sees him come across, but again, flips up with their 9th now. This T-side's starting to blow out even more, and Mike S no AWP. Bit of money here, dude, but like you said, they had made a little bit in the previous rounds, but pretty dire for Penta here.
I'm just frustrated at why he chose to save so close. He knew that there were 2 players committed in the B bomb site because they killed his teammates. He could have run long, he could have run to playground, he could have got right out of there. Instead, he stayed in a close range position and he gets punished for it. He would have had enough money to drop his teammate a gun here and they could have bolstered their weaponry. Unfortunately, though, they're stuck with a MP7, and that's not a gun you ever want to buy, not even on the anti-ecos.
Yeah, well, Stefan hoping to make some use of it there. It's going to require him to be pretty darn close to his assailant. Speaking of getting close, Lol hoping to do just that against Markelov, but the patience from this man paying off well. There were 2 other Penta players waiting inside underpass, but they're not going to challenge that. It's just too risky. Flash in. Markelov almost implying that he would leave.
No, Marky Mark's always there. He's such an annoying lurker in the connector as well as drop zone on Cobble. It's just, he's resilient in the fact that he's like, this is my spot of the map. I'm not going to help my teammates. I'm just here. This is my zone.
Hard to play into there as well as often as CTs want to slow things down. Oh, okay, Crystal. Let's see what you've got, mate. Finds the head of World Edit there, but Blade being a little bit more patient. Nicely done. A single tap towards the head. Crystal falls, and now with 3 left. That SMG still in the hands of Stefan hasn't been put to much use as of yet. Obviously, he needs to be tucked in relatively close there. Electronic, though, this time unable to make any inroads over towards his B side. So now, a pause for thought, perhaps, for Flipside. A smoke over towards the B. That may not be where they're going. That might just be to keep someone there at least.
Tarson has the information to know that they're not going B, at least from T-spawn anyway. There is a small chance they'll go connected, but he can see that now. And the flashes come in onto A. Mike's going to have to do a lot here.
He does well. He finds Markov to start things off here. Blade response comes straight through over the top now. A 2v2. Bomb yet to be planted on a Molotov just off towards the side of Waylander. It means he can't come forward, but he's happy with that for now. He doesn't really have any reason to get too aggressive. And Tarsin, from behind, made the big loop-de-loop, comes up behind Waylander and takes him out. So now Blade's in a very compromising position. We probably hope Optimus could transform right now and protect him, but it's not going to be the case. And finally, Stefan chimes on in there, gets the round 1 for Penta, a 5-round margin here. Coming in towards halftime. Haven't seen a lot from Penta here, to be honest with you, Chad. A couple rounds here and there, but Flipside have started to show us a little bit more depth as they figure Penta out.
Well, like we said, Penta seemed to be playing better when they were on the force buys or low gun rounds, and once again they won around with not as well utility as they would have liked. And the thing is with these guys, they're annoying on their CT side to verse. They're not fundamentally sound, you know. They rely on people getting aggressive and making frags. It doesn't look like they have a solid hold. They would always lose a player before a side execute came in, and maybe that was their plan. You don't really want a team who's well drilled like Flipside executing you on all the time. But, you know, at least try it once, see what happens.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much of that one. Perhaps in the second half now, as Penta are going to be shifting onto the other side of the coin. It's going to be the T side for them now, as we'll leave you with a couple nice moments from the half that was. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a bit of a battle of the bunnies here towards the lower table here in the ESL Pro League. Flipside versus Penta. first half. T-side for Flipside getting themselves 10 rounds there as well. Couple frustrating moments for you watching there, Chad, as well. But in general, we've seen Flipside manage to make their style work against PENTA, who have been a little bit in disarray at times.
Which is surprising because PENTA have put up some good results versus harder opponents.
Most of the top teams they've played have gone to at least 13 rounds on their side.
Yeah, and I looked at Flipside's results just before we started, and they've only had 3 games that have gone double digits out of 10, which is...
They've been thrown in the bin.
Pretty appalling.
Yeah.
If they can reinvigorate with electronics, it'll be good to see, though, because they do have that major spot after all, and they have basically from now until then to fix their team. And if he's one piece of the puzzle that they need, then, hey, sure, let's do it.
It's a lot of development really required, though, if you look at it this way. I mean, even last season, Flipside were not great in the Pro League, but definitely sort of performing better than we've sort of seen them thus far. I mean, PENTA as well getting decent results against some top teams. They pushed Na'Vi, if I recall, on Cobblestone fairly hard. So there's a team that has potential here, but perhaps it's more about taking their opponents by surprise. This would be a good half to do it, though. Here's fun as we jump into the pistol. It's PENTA on the T side.
Well, look, if they want to avoid the last place and getting relegated from the league, they have to win both these maps. So Flipside, there's a lot more on the line than you know, bringing in a new player. We need to be in Pro League next season, and they need to start here.
That's it. No better spot to really develop yourself. Speaking of which, of course, Flipside are playing in the ECS Development League as well, if I'm not mistaken, with some weird results as well. We won't go into that now, though. We can talk about it later on. Well did it, though. Nade does tickle him early on in the round here. As PENTA not really decided quite yet. They've taken control of the middle of the map here. That's definitely step number 1 for the T side. And now they have underpass control. They may just want to push on towards B. Yeah. Stefan's already been waiting.
Going to be a B hit here.
Trying to ducking away. Crystal gets the shots in though, and Markloff now ready to receive, but doesn't really hit any of the crucial shots. Marquez has no idea where he's shotting from there, and he does fall, but Crystal responds rather quickly now with just 2 players left. Crystal with 3 for the round. Definitely the instigator. Flash comes in, Blade gets 1. Slow and steady wins the race here for Blade, but unfortunately the game just gets away from him. The pace maybe too much now. Way better in a 1v2, not sure who to shoot at. Doesn't really matter as Crystal, again, another kill for him, 4 for the round.
Yeah, the aggression there going connector and making that frag towards A, it just puts the Flipside rotation in disarray. And what happened was Flipside went for aggressive information at B by checking through Monster, and they saw nothing. So once that frag happened towards A, the rotations automatically came in, and B was pretty much over for the taking, and Crystal getting 4 kills always helps.
Well, it's been a quiet game for Stefan, though, I'll be honest with you. 2 kills for him in the last few rounds or so. Not been great, but again, lol, you expect to sort of see him up the top of the scoreboard, and he always is the power fragger. Often coming out of these rounds with 2, maybe 3, and a chance for him to do so yet again. It was well at it, just peeking around the corner, daring some of the challenge, and lol is more than happy to stand up and fight. Wow, nicely done. Blade is going to crumple there under the shots he puts in towards him. Headshot to finish the job. And well did it already, losing 2 teammates. He's not going to fancy hang around for too much longer, but Electronic, you see he might have his hackles up in this situation. He's got a deagle in hand and some armor. But PENTA now, first couple of kills come in. They've got a lot of time to work with. They're not really like Flipside in that they do leave themselves a reasonable buffer of time. They're more than happy to be decisive. And they're going to group up in towards mid. Markloff and Electronic want to work from the side, maybe working from toilets. Markloff still not quite in position to assist Electronic. Get a lot of information here. You can also get cut down awfully fast. He wasn't spotted.
Oh, wow.
Or was he?
No, that's unlucky. I think if you're going to do that, at least go with numbers. You know, Worldat could have pushed as well. For some reason, he's sitting there jumping at the truck, letting his 2 teammates push up. Probably raging and rushing or something.
Well, didn't go much better for Worldat. I mean, Worldat still sat here. Markloff also was kind of out of position. But there it is. Probably Ukrainian, to be fair.
No, Worldat's Russian.
Is he?
Yeah. The Blade?
These guys, no, they communicate in...
I don't know.
What do they communicate in?
They talk something.
Because we've seen actually teams who none of them have been sort of English first language speakers. They're all switched towards English because sometimes it's more efficient to speak in English as a language you're not too fluent in, so you're not saying unnecessary things. I know a lot of French teams also sometimes say there's a lot of chatter going on. I just bring that as an example as I've spoken to some players. So, well, I have to wonder, but yeah, maybe a bit of rage. There wasn't too much the world ever could have done about that one. And PENTA have got a chance to break back into this game now. Pressure towards underpass. It pays off, but they still have to trade a few players in. As Electronic and Markloff now with nothing to work with.
PENTA are going into the weirdest part of the map aggressively. Like, if you placed a couple of pistols in toilets, or if you even got someone in connector early, like they did, and you let them come in, you've got some awesome crossfires already set up, but it looks like keep taking the longer range battle versus the rifles or SMGs, which, you know, they're going to be successful. Well, I think not the round we just saw, the round before that, I think Waylander got caught out because they were set up with a crossfire there with Blade, but Waylander was overextending or he stayed peeking for too long and he just got insta-dinked and dead. So that was probably the plan. It just didn't unfold that way.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. The best laid plans often don't have the most crystal clear results. Now, smoke over in towards mid. For Crystal, definitely a rehearsed one there. Smoke straight in towards the toilet block here, and Blade backing off. You can see well deaded off towards his side to flank him. But PENTA seem to be set on B at this stage. They got the utility to make a full execute of it. I'm going to see this Molotov now start to rain on in. Not really ones that you want to be enjoying. You don't want to frolic through this particular rain now as Electronic makes his way up. Very aggressive position here on the site, and he's managed to avoid a lot of this peripheral damage coming in from the utility that PENTA have tried to pave their way with. And now Blade challenges out. Only gets himself one, but Electronic's there. It's a trade back and forth. PENTA are probably happy with this now. And even on top of that, well dead, it falls to Crystal. Not good at all for Flipside.
These are the two options I was talking about. Last half, we saw Flipside do the slow bleed out of utility and then hit the site once they have nothing left. PENTA went for the execute onto the side. Oh.
Not bad. All right, Mark off on Waylander, try him back in. Turn it back around.
That's not what I was expecting. I was basically saying PENTA had that in the bag because they went with the other method, which was do a full execute onto the side, use your excess utility to push them back and out of position. You know, you only have to deal with maybe the occasional flash or maybe one smoke, because you saw there that Flipside didn't have a lot to defend that site with. It was just flashes. But Waylander and Markloff were like, well, this is easy. We'll just walk in and shoot people in the head. Always a good way to win a round.
Yeah, well, I mean, Markloff had, I think it was Waylander actually had a decent angle. It came through Monster, I think, so up behind. And got in towards the canals, so Goodly. Sick, Mitch. Nicely played there from Flipside. Was the way that I responded towards the push on towards the site. Can't really complain about that one, even though maybe the circumstances that got them there were confusing. No one says Goodly in 2016, but that's fine. Blade straight through. It is. It's an old English word, but I definitely didn't mean to say it that way, I'll be honest with you. Blade, though, going to get cut down. Tarsin aggressors. Markloff there, not in the best position. We saw Get Right get pretty much like a 3K with pistol from that one in earlier rounds, but this time it's being checked properly by PENTA. Again, aggressive. They're chomping at the bit here to take this ground, and they are pushing forward. Bomb being planted. World Edit none the wiser to this. He wouldn't even have heard it from where he was, and now Stefan be safe behind the pillar. But I hate to give up yet another death. As I said, it's been a quieter affair from this newest edition for PENTA.
That pit position Crystal's in, it's really hard to weed someone out from you. I just say it's a caster curse. He just runs in and shoots, and nobody was watching anything. And yeah, cool. Just leave Crystal to watch both entrances to the B site. Fantastic work, PENTA. That's just what you want to do.
Brilliant. Stefan now flashed away, backed away, and sort of cut down there. Waylander got a pressure onto him now. Bomb's still down, so a chance if Molotov gets a decent spray. He's been the man saving PENTA in so many of these situations. Peace, good timing there. Well done it. Actually had him in his sights, but then he flicks away, makes a move, and Lowell gets on top of him there. A round that maybe PENTA had not much business winning after the fact, but still they get away with it, despite some weird positioning over on that B side of the after plant. The Germans take it.
I don't know. Those last two rounds were backwards. That doesn't make much sense to me. They should have won opposite rounds there, but now Flipside, they're on the eco. They've upgraded a couple of armor and stuff here. Oh no, they're force bought. If I hit tab, that'll show me their financial situation. They've actually force bought into this, which the reason you do this is because you know that you have PENTA's economy almost on the ropes and that you're confident that you could grab it with pistols, but they had limited success on their 2 eco rounds earlier. So a big risk here because, you know, you have the lead still, and by doing this, you're going to blow it. It's going to be 11-11 if these don't go your way.
And yeah, their economy, like you said, it's going to be buggered after this one, no doubt about it. I mean, at least Blade can find Crystal there, but it's not really a positive trade, especially as CT's essentially underarmed. So PENTA, they've had enough. Their foray in towards the B site was relatively successful. Crystal got 2 before he went down, and now they might try a little bit of a different angle. Waylander, not quite sure which one that's going to be here. He probably can't even hear what's going on now, but he will more likely be the first point of contact now as Flipside will see PENTA come through. The flash should give a lot of the game away, and Waylander is more than happy to give this ground up. So PENTA, they take control of this part of the map now. Mike S into towards toilets, and we'll see how they want to push forth from here as Waylander gets spotted.
It's good for Waylander forward to start and try and use that range of the deagle, but these AKs, you know, you can't overstay your welcome. You're going to get one shot in the head, and that'll be the end of you. However, PENTA slowed it down. They could have continued at the pace that they were using earlier on, and they would already be in the side. Oh, there it is. Crisp 1 dig.
Not too bad there. Waylander obviously using it as a bit of a budget AWP in some cases. Now, might look for the more brute force approach, getting up close. Lowell falls down, and this is not right for PENTA. The wheels are falling off the truck as Orbit Stefan sprays down on Blade, and now Waylander, the last man there. They should know that Waylander is close by. They should know he was the man getting the kills earlier on. But Waylander, that's an interesting thing to turn around and see. He's going to make it work. Not quite. but good enough here for Flipside as they did have to try and force into it. But Chad, money-wise, yeah, not good. Now, of course, they're going to probably have to give up yet another round here. And not quite enough damage done to Penta's economy. They can still spread that around their players to a great degree.
Yeah, they're feeling comfortable now, and it's highly likely, they'll be thinking it's highly likely Flipside will take the eco. The Flipside are committed, you know, they could have just gone for the force buy again, but Electronic and Markloff are pretty much broke.
Well, yeah, it's a flash for World Edit, a couple of upgraded pistols here, but this is what Flipside knew they were going to. They sort of committed themselves to this potential reality, buying up in the previous round. Sometimes you just got to risk it to get the biscuit. This time, though, you're not even getting crackers. It's going to be Blade. Does spot a player there as LOL. A couple shots is enough for him to get away. So that's going to be radioed frantically back to his team, no doubt about it. Blade more than happy to give some ground here. Allow Penta to get up close. Now, these pistols obviously going to be far more effective if Flipside actually opt to use them in close quarter scenarios, which they haven't done in a lot of their pistol rounds.
The way that the pistols, the eco rounds work, or the way that they're successful, is because somebody makes a really good individual play, right? You either need to come up with an awesome eco strat, you know, with like good positioning, crossfires, boosts, whatever, or someone just has to go ham. And when you have two dudes on USPs, it's not highly likely.
No, not much ham in that sandwich, that's for sure. Well, a lot of crushed up World Edit, that's for sure. He gets going to cut down there as Stefan presses his way forward. Crystal, they look towards the pit player, but gets peeked by Blade at just the right time. Not too bad, but a response was always going to be forthcoming here from the majority German squad. Bomb to go down. Waylander has been relaxing a little bit there at topside. Now realizes he needs to come down and try and make something happen. At least he's not playing with the revolver anymore, Chad. That's something.
Yeah, well, I just want to quickly touch on this. So, Flipside, they force bought on the second round, right? Which meant the first gun round, World Edit didn't even have any form of armor. A lot of the players on Flipside didn't have that much utility to work with. They managed to scrape that round through, but then their economy was still so bad because they only had 2 players survive. Going into the next gun round where Penta could still buy, they didn't have all the utility and guns that they needed to defend, you know, 2 in a row. And now they're feeling the wrath of that. I'm a bit of a traditionalist, you know. I'd like to see just pistols bought up. Just don't worry about that armor on the CT side. If you lose pistol, just concede those 2. That's probably a quitter's attitude, but if you don't have extraordinary firepower, which Flipside unfortunately doesn't, you should play the conservative style of Counter-Strike.
Well, in this day and age, it's funny how it's changed. You know, we talked about, especially French sides, you know, there was that period where they force bought all the time and it worked for them for so long and everyone was such a fan of it. And then it stopped working and then everyone was like, stop this is ridiculous Counter-Strike, this is not going to work. And then we saw the decline of a lot of our French teams there as well. I think back to ESL 1 Cologne, not the most recent one, but the one prior to that there, if you remember Envy. Being towards top of the tables there was such a thing that was done, but now not so much anymore. So perhaps we're making a return to the old ways. Penta, though, have control, I guess, of this underpass yet again. So Flipside, really no inclination to try and wrest that out of their control. They're happy enough there to just sit. And we'll be working through the middle of the map here. World Edit will be looking straight at them here with the AWP. He's set up to sort of receive this one. And a bit of smoke towards long. Just to cut that one off, at least for the moment. Allow him to maybe use that as an angle, get a wider angle towards toilets or even just around the corner. We may see Penta start to pull the trigger here, though, with a bit of an execute. That'd be nice.
Yeah, Markloff is really, you know, set back in B, or they're hitting on A right now.
Yeah, they're going for a Blade. Just walked through a bunch of players. Didn't even know that LOL was going to be there to meet him. That was a very clean execute there. One shot from Tarsin was enough to deal with World at extreme range, even for an AK. Now, yeah, Electronic and Markloff with not much to do. They've sort of found themselves at B for the most part as they realized there's no point challenging this whatsoever. So Penta, big comebacks this half. This will be their 7th round and only 1 for Flipside on the CT side.
It was a different execute we saw there as well. You know, they put the smokes deeper. They didn't go for that wall of smokes across the site, which can cause a lot of chaos. The CTs can pop flash through it and, you know, catch you with your pants down, so to speak. And they just went for the deep smokes and then just traded out on the site, and, you know, it was very effective. They didn't lose any players. So if they can chase down Markloff and Electronic here, I'm going to say they basically won the game. I shouldn't be saying that this early, but I'm new to this casting thing, you know, so I'm going to make those kind of stupid statements.
You can make them, that's fine. I don't mind. Electronic, though, gets 2. I don't think he's willing to allow the game to be over just yet. I have to say, you know, amongst a middling, amongst a curious performance from Flipside, Electronic has had his fair share of good moments. More so though on the T side, where he's sort of able to be a spearhead for Flipside and actually bring some of that aggression that perhaps they were lacking in the past. Like I said, whether that's because it's the way they played or the way their players played individually.
Well, it looks like Flipside are playing scared. They had their B players cemented in the B side, and they had their A players doing the exact same thing. That gives you zero map information or territory. You're just sitting and waiting for an execute to come in and hoping that you have the tools necessary to deal with it. And PENTA did that perfectly onto that A side just then, and Flipside, even if they rotated, they couldn't have done anything. They didn't have any trades go their way.
Blade sees a wall of bullets come flying there from the bottom right. Flash out, checking the corners, giving themselves away to a degree, but they're okay with that, I believe. There's Tarsin, just a token amount of resistance now left for PENTA, as they've sort of turned their mind to other things now. You can see via the minimap they're thinking about this B, but this is a much more slowly played out round for PENTA, and it could be because of the fact that they've gained no information from being in underpass here. Flipside were able to smoke it out and just sort of flash it through there and maybe imply the presence of more than one player, and PENTA haven't really wanted to test it any further. So it'll be Electronic here as well. Now, for all intents and purposes, all things being equal, there should be a Molotov thrown directly at him here. Yeah, eventually this, but the peak timing wasn't too bad. Not enough for him to get the kill, though. Markloff was already backtracking while he was trying to fight that one out. At least Worldeater gets himself one kill, but he's not in a great position to do much about it.
Wayland is timed out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you'd be really happy with a close match, and a round that could potentially turn the game, and you time out. I would tilt. My monitor would be in a few pieces right now.
Might probably be in my next door Yavi's backyard, to be honest.
You got a strong arm, huh? Been hitting the gym?
No, the window was right there, to be honest. Okay. My next door neighbour had plenty of issues with me playing games. It was actually got worse when I started shoutcasting from my bedroom back in Australia, because it's not as bad as in Germany, right? Because you literally live on top of people, right? I've got people banging my floor with their brooms when I'm casting sometimes at home, like tell me to shut up. So it's even worse here, but...
I hope you just get louder.
Oh, I thought about it, but they can call the police, apparently. That's the thing. I don't know. Everyone is quite sensible in this country, you know, just have a very reserved, polite until you piss them off remotely, and then it's game over. So Waylander comes back, but yeah, you'll get used to that. Germans are very direct, you know. It's funny. Things that maybe Aussies would think like, oh, you're taking the piss or you're actually getting mad. Germans aren't. They're just sort of saying it like it is.
They look at me like an alien when I'm walking around wearing my thongs.
Mate, so. my brother was here over winter, and he was still wearing thongs all through winter as well. It was like 0 degrees or something, and every person at the tram stop gave him this ridiculous look.
Your feet need to breathe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We got real sick when he come back home, though, so maybe not ideal. We'll see what winter's like. But anyway, we're still into this one. We didn't actually have a pause. I was winding up for a big gas bag sesh with old mate Sponge, but we're actually going to be staying in this one, as Waylander has returned. But Flipside find themselves with well, not a lot really to work with here. Scrabbling in the pockets, maybe some lint picked out of the belly button, Chad giving it into the can depot to try and get some extra change, and they've got one AK.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them. PENTA are playing this really well now. It's a contrast to how they started this T-half, where they were very aggressive, running with SMGs, taking the jewels. And now they've slowed it down. They're playing more methodically. But as I say that, Worldeater's able to find a cheeky kill on Tarsin and hightail it out of there.
He's piecing out. Markloff forging forward a long way in towards underpass here. Now, happy enough with just picking up Tarsin's AK, reasonably so. Won't go any further than that now, as it's still a 4v4 and the rest of his team a little bit underarmed.
The ball's on Crystal. Like, I hated this map because the toilet section was, I can't use the language, but it wasn't a very nice place to be clearing out, especially on your own. And he's just pushing up by himself, nobody to trade, nobody to even help if he, cops a flash or anything. I don't get it. Like, this is where you lose an orb and the other team now gives it to a player and he gets 3 kills. And he's executing onto A by himself as a fake. What is going on?
Well, the fact that he's gotten into this position is ridiculous enough in itself now. You can actually see that Markloff rotated back for just a second until he realized what was happening. So now the real fight starts. Markloff trades out here. Electronic has to do a lot with this Deagle, and there's going to be a struggle there. 2 angles being covered by the PENTA players, able to shut him down. Now Molotov up towards top side. Worldeater just going to stand and deliver. He's got no choice but to come forward. Somehow hits that shot on towards Lol. It was a very wild spray, but it was going to be enough. Now Mike, pop flash through. Why not? Let's go for something a bit cavalier here. Sees the head of Worldeater. Doesn't know if Electronic's there. It's Waylander, should I say, who manages to pick him up there. So 3 for Worldeater at the end. Weird round. Crystal didn't manage to get too much done, though, being the Lone Ranger over at the A side.
it seemed like a waste, and it hurt them in the end. I don't understand why teams just don't group up. You knew that, you know, the only gun that they had was on World Edit. You heard a couple of deals, whatever. Still group up and trade out, and you're most likely going to win the round. Doing the fake, sure, it pulled the rotators over, but
for like half a second.
Yeah, they instantly knew because Crystal was dead. So, I don't know. I think Mike S at the end there, we used to call that in Renegades, when people play around the smokes like that, we called them moths because they're like heading towards the light, you know, like a moth does mindlessly. That's what you see with players nowadays. They're just glued to them. It's like, oh yeah, I'll play in the smoke. That's my play.
Didn't work out so well for the man. Got one kill, an easy one to pick up there. Didn't quite see Waylander through the smoke. So that's the way it goes here. Electronic. Okay then. Are you going to flash him through, Markelov?
Do it. Nice.
He's done it. He's going straight through, and this has worked out beautifully. Crystal goes down. It was an AWPer actually now being removed. Trade 1 for 1. How much information the Electronics really been able to get from that?
It's probably just going to disrupt them, so whatever execute they had in mind is now in tatters. Somebody either has to have a smoke left over to do what he was going to do, or maybe nobody knows how to throw the smoke that guy had to throw. So it's good to give, you know, the information side of things, like you're saying, it's not much. They don't gain a lot out of that, but they do disrupt the T side. However, people will tell you that, you know, in a 4v4 situation, the Ts have the advantage. There's more places for the CTs to cover, and if Penta play this properly, they can once again trade it onto a site and get the bomb down. And after, it's after plan after that. Too many afters.
Well, like you said, trades 1 for 1 for the T side generally are okay. But I mean, this is more than disrupted Penta. This has just had them sat on their Todd for the last 30 seconds deciding what they're going to do. Molotov to short, that was from Markelov. Well, it's got one here as well just for Canal. So a decent amount of storm mechanics still available for Flipside. And Penta showing no inclination to go to another bomb site. They seem to be still settled in this one. So now, here comes a little bit of that execute from the Penta side of things. This is a very close angle for World Air, but that Molotov definitely hurting. Markelov hurting even more though. Gets himself to, which Stefan responds with a quick 2 of his own. Now Blade wants to try and come towards his side, but Marquez is there to cut him down. And now it's just one. Waylander sat on his own, has to make his way to this side, has to push it, and he has to pull the trigger. First kill comes in nicely, and that's the one. Stefan's still healthy. A quiet game for him, but a nice loud ending to the round. It's going to be a roar for him as Penta get themselves now within striking distance of match point. And Flipside's economy is busted.
Yeah, Markelov did so much work there, and he gets taken out, but nobody's able to trade him because I think Markelov, he was meant to be the guy worrying about Monster. He's moved over to cover the sandbag area. He's got 2 kills. He's done wonderfully there, but the guy playing behind the dildo in the side, he wasn't able to do anything. He just gets a bit of spray transfer and away he goes. And I think it's dire straits for Flipside here as they are force buying. World's going to find an early frag, and that could be a bit of a spark for them.
Well, just the 1 kill now. Hasn't really stopped Penta in terms of their momentum here. Not like the way that sort of 1 for 1 trade stopped them last round. This time, Crystal still adamantly searching for something here as well. The flash not seeming to really connect there. He manages to find Waylander. But again, just the 1 kill, not enough to convince Penta of any avenue of approach here. Still playing it through slowly.
I'm so confused by that. Why give up a kill after you just go the man advantage? Just play safe. Do the safe angles that you do every other round in an applicable situation. Instead, they play safe when they should play aggressive, and they play aggressive when they should play safe.
Well, yeah, interesting moment for Waylander there. Don't know what he was really looking for.
I like this boost. See, that smoke is meant to take away the vision. They automatically have it. I don't know if he saw... Yeah, he must have, surely.
Still thinks he's going to be on that corner. He must have seen him cross.
Yeah.
It's so hard when you see the vestiges of the smoke and you have the X-ray on as well. It's not really easy to see what's happening. I like the little jump from Tarson, but it's not going to be enough to distract. Yeah, well, then it's cut low, and then Crystal finally finds him. So still, the T's trading in. Penta managing to get some sort of advantages, but Blade in a good spot to really, really mess this one up for them now as well. See Stefan, but none of the shots really miss. Hit, should I say, until the first one comes in towards the head side. Now, still, 2 for 2. Trades coming in. Penta really putting their nose to the grindstone here. But Mykes has already got a very advanced position on towards this side. Don't look right. Markelov is seen in there as well. He comes out worse than the trade, but still finds Crystal, and Electronic finishes it off. Flipside again. No business winning that round. Absolutely none. Coming in with nothing but an AWP and a bunch of pistols. Still win it out. This game going longer than it really should.
Well, Penta are known for having close matches. I guess they're just playing to the level of their opponent, or Flipside are showing a better than normal performance. This is the most rounds in any game so far for them in this Pro League season, which is, it's impressive. But
is it really?
No, it's not. I think I saw Blade with a souvenir skin from when we played them, Vox Eminor. Was it Katowice?
Was it Katowice?
It might have been. And
group stage?
It was on Cage and we beat him 16-3. So that's not a souvenir skin that I'd probably want.
Yeah. You beat him 16-3 on that one.
I think so. It was a bit of a fisting.
How about that one? How about that?
Whose pause is this? The money's... There we go. It's Penta's pause. I like the little man that talks. Where does the little man live?
I actually don't know. We haven't found him yet. Some say he's still in the air conditioning vent somewhere.
Okay.
With a walkie-talkie.
Okay. Or he's connected to the server.
Could be that
He's
as well.
AI. He's not even real.
Well, I had the coffee machine go off for no reason before, so it is possible. It is 2016, Chad. You never know.
This place could be haunted.
Well, I think it is actually. If you go through the corridors, considering half the lights don't even bloody work in the corridors at night, you see them flickering on and off.
He's probably the one turning the TV screens on and off while we're doing the analyst desk segments.
Trying to run random videos when we're casting the game. I like that one. I like that one. Although nade tips might not be too bad right now to break up the monotony a bit, but somehow this game has gotten to this point. I mean, we're probably hoping for a little bit of a closer stash between these two, given that they're both sitting at the bottom of the ladder and technically both fighting for their lives here. Even if Flipside win this game, though, that doesn't really mean that they're safe from auto-relegation. Penta already actually have a couple map wins under their belts. That's the astonishing thing. I think they snuck one off of Heroic, one off of VP, was it? So, I mean, as it stands, they've got 3 wins under their belt. So, even if Flipside win this whole sort of double best of 1, it doesn't put them in really much better stead.
Yeah, I think, though, if they don't want to get relegated, which you'd hope that's the case, they have to win this. Like, I know Penta, they have a few more wins already, but this could be what Flipside need to push them over the edge to, get out of that last spot place. The thing, though, with Flipside right now is they just won a round they shouldn't have. This pause is good for them because they probably weren't... They bought into that round like wanting to win, but you never really... saying expecting to win is probably a bad thing because you expect to win every round if you do the right stuff. But in reality, you probably shouldn't win a round where you're low on utility and stuff like they did. So they did a fantastic job. This pause is helping them as well because they can kind of center themselves. They're, struggling right now. This could be what they need to reset as well. So I'm surprised that Penta aren't going to buy into this because the money situation, they should know it's not great for Flipside. Oh, they are. There we go.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, it might be a third AK here if they can sort of swing it, but that would be about it. So that means Lowell and Tarsin essentially have to get themselves a little bit of utility. Yeah, 3 AKs to come in here with a Tech 9 for Lowell. And Tarsin again has his deagle, getting himself a couple of kills here and there. And, well, you're right, Flipside. Well, it's a Scout, it's a UMP, it's a FAMAS, so definitely not a well-developed, group of weapons here.
I like this contact play a lot. If they can get this first kill, perfect. Now they can swarm the site. They can embed themselves in little corners. As long as they get this guy out of pit.
There's 2 now, I think. Blade, ducking away, gets absolutely nothing. Marker off there as well, bit of airborne play coming in. Penta bringing it back quite nicely. This is perfect. This is just what the doctor ordered here. And now it's just Wald at the left trying to plug away there with nothing but the Scout. Healthy enough here, but we'll be pressed in a few moments now, just trying to fend people off. The bomb down, he knows it too. Not much he can really do about that one. Penta simultaneously break the economy of Flipside and put themselves on match point. This is the dream scenario, chat.
I would like to see them do a very similar play. 4 to 5 members again, go somewhere together early in the round. You don't even have to use your utility, really. You just need to use the trades, because if they can get into a bomb site that quickly like they just did, that's when you can use your utility to delay Flipside, who aren't going to have a lot to push out. They're not going to be able to put Molotovs out. Oh, wow, that was a nice shot.
All right.
Not going to do anything with it, though. It's good to get a kill like that. But
it's one less AK that Penta can take. Well, make it 2 less that Penta can take into the next round. They lost someone there on the bomb. I think they're not ecstatic about it. I mean, they limited on utility somewhat.
Waylander has $1,400, $1,700 on
That's
mark.
Disgusting.
Blade, $1,700. There's nothing, really. This is where the individual plays have to come out, because you can't hope to hold back in a default CT setup and deal with AKs and Galils and even humps. Well, they're going to have to, Chad. I'm not going to lie, mate. World Edit managed to at least get himself an AK at the end of that round, so a rifle to come in. Just the one for Flipside. And again, a bit of a repeat here. The contact play comes in for Penta. Again, it's going to be Electronic just steamrolled over. Good name from World Edit, and Blade's making it happen there. Pistol kill comes in, and now Markelov wants to try and challenge. He wants to emulate his teammates' work, and so far, it's looking pretty darn good. Almost a genuine article. Grenade comes in over the top from Tarsin. He dunks it straight onto the noggin of Markelov, and now 2v2. However, Penta
Beaten and bruised a little bit here. That first push on towards the B side, not getting them much now, Tarson. Forging ahead very, very quickly here towards A, hoping to get a decent position before Flipside can respond to this.
It's a good play. The only problem is his HP. 15 HP. Not really going to have too many balls here to get in that site. He's going to be a bit scared, and should be, because Waylander's now rotated over with the AK, and if he can find this kill, Stefan is going to be in a horrible position.
Is one ball enough, or do you need both?
I think you need 2 testicles to get this done.
Right. 2 testicles required. Well, it depends really where Tarson got hit in that last fight as well. He seems to be walking all right, so no complaints here, but Waylander knows he will probably likely have to deal with this from 2 angles. Now, they've had to split the sites as well, but the Flipside have no choice here but to send Blade in. Now, Blade probably going to rotate very, very quickly now. There it is. Waylander gets a spray on Stefan. That was the healthy opponent as well. He takes a little bit of damage, but it's going to be not quite enough for Penta to get across. Flipside hold them at the gates here, and only just. And now, look at Penta's economy. Very much a possibility here. In fact, almost an eventuality at this stage to see some overtime here.
Fantastic.
Thank the Lord.
No, this has kind of been a match of people winning rounds they shouldn't. So if it goes by that mentality, Penta are winning this round.
All right. I'm on board with that one. I'm okay with this. World edit though. Advanced positioning, gets tagged up pretty heavily, doesn't get the kill, doesn't even get the damage across. So good start. Hello, Stefan comes out of nowhere, and even Tarson responds on towards Blade. That's a second for the man now. Oh Lord, this game I don't even know. Really, how can you characterize? You couldn't even make this stuff up. Not even an experienced playwright could really get there. But Markov here, one of the last bastions of defense for the Flipside. Tactics team gets a 2-man spray down. Come on! What is this game? But Stefan still manages to get rid of him. And now Electronic, the newest addition for Flipside, having to hold up against 3 players. The bomb is dropped out in front of Penta. Electronic may not have seen it, but knows it's there now. He's fully aware of its presence. And Penta, do something cute for us. A running boost, something like that. Yeah, not really not going to work out. It's finally done. Penta get across the line, not in a very pretty fashion at all. They pretty much had max 3.3k on their players at the end of that round. And Chad, in the words of Natu, what do you say about that?
Running through smoke with Tech-9's the best strategy in CSGO today.
You heard it here first, guys, straight from the man's mouth. Run through smoke with a Tech-9. But there, of course, early damage on towards World. No, I'm not going to bother trying to analyze this one, really. Sorry. It's just a bit too hard. But the way it stands is that this is a dastardly turn of events here if you're Flipside now.
They're done.
Dunzo.
Last place, 100%.
You heard it. They're going to be in trouble here. They still have one more chance to at least get some face saved, as it were. But now we're going to go pass over the desk. And boys, what have you got for us on this one?
What haven't we got, Alex?
Well, Mitch has just gone and said, well, this is a game that's hard to analyze. I don't want to analyze it. Let's head over to these guys.
That's why we're here, Alex.
Exactly. I've got Yenko and Henry hanging out to talk a little bit about that first map. And I mean, they're perfectly summarized in the final round of play. Just if they get, like, literally out of Chad's mouth, well, people that shouldn't win rounds have been winning rounds, so Penta should win. And they did. They pick up the win.
It felt like they should have closed that one out, though. Like, towards the last 3 or 4 rounds, after they had that huge comeback, losing 10-5 in the first half, they did a fantastic job in the second. It was a pretty standard affair for the first half, I have to say, Alex.
Standard?
Yeah, for Flipside, in terms of their play style, the way they're approaching each situation. They got that great 5-0 start after winning the pistol, and it seemed like Penta couldn't really get going until they found some little bit of aggression. The money stabilized to getting those first picks. They got 3 in a row, but it was a very convincing half of Flipside. Basically just sticking to their guns, not doing anything too crazy in terms of like contact plays or set pieces. It was actually doing this classic map control into last-minute executions, and it was working pretty well for them. 10-5, I thought, at the T side especially, that should be a foregone conclusion, surely. They're going to find their first map here in the Pro League. It's going to happen. It's coming together. And we get into the second, and they really did fall apart there, didn't they? They actually managed to lose the pistol and then pick up that first gun round, but then just didn't really get anything going towards the end there. Comes very close towards the end, but ultimately it felt like Penta were always going to win it. It was just a matter of when, if I'm honest.
Yenko, Flipside, 10-5 lead versus Penta coming into their CT side of Overpass.
Go on. You sound like you're building up a good storyline, huh?
Yeah. Then proceed to lose it again. How is that not heartbreaking? How is that, like Penta, this is literally the team one above you. The team that came from Premier, the team that has been losing to almost everyone within the league. You get a 10-5 lead and then proceed to throw it away. You're 0-10 in the league, you're now 0-11. They are in a very bad place.
Definitely so, Alex. Definitely so. I had a lot of notes, a lot of things that I could say,
was it
but unfortunately the
watch?
Segment isn't that long. What?
Was it hard for you to watch?
I think it was pretty hard. I mean, here, a good example of the differences that Penta on their T side, you could see towards the end, they went for basically contact play through the monster area, and we saw them try that yesterday as well against Na'Vi, and the difference is, for one, they did also get the entry kill, but they got immediately, Na'Vi started throwing flashes there, Molotovs, whatever. They didn't even have all of that utility, mostly flashes, because they know that's a contact play, that's where all of the team is. They bought enough time for the rest of Na'Vi players to rotate, and then they just had favorable positions because Penta didn't push into the bomb side. Against Flipside, that could work because they couldn't, you know, buy enough time for everyone else to come in, and they couldn't even win the duels afterwards. So that tells you about the discrepancy between the teams and how as the same execute can work against one team but can't work against another. But funnily enough, I say that second, you know, the following gun round, Penta goes for the same thing, Flipside wins the round. Basically, the difference is they got a couple of good kills with the 5-7 from the player who was in barrels, and that's all it takes to break that round.
It's always good old Blade who comes to the rescue. It was him wielding that 5-7. Henry, just a quick closing thought before we do head over to break. I mean, that's going to be...
I have to say, electronic fans at the moment probably be like, where have you been in my life? He seemed like he posted a very good performance there in the first half. And to be fair, like I said, I was watching out for him. He actually seemed like he was bringing a new string to Flipside's bow in terms of some aggression there and actually pushing through smokes and actually looking like he was actively trying to hunt frags instead of being part of the Flipside machine. He actually looked like he was a very skilled individual. So for me, that was quite impressive to see him step up.
I love that. The first round, his debut under Flipside's name, he drops a 1v2, and you start wondering, would Shara have picked that one up? To
be fair, like, I thought if they win this game, if they win this game, like that, what a great addition that would be to pick it up, his first showing here, and that would have been really cool. But for me, he seems like a very skilled player. And
unfortunately,
still
going down with the ship.
Yeah, unfortunately, but they do move on to new Alex, and I'm sure they can bounce back. Why don't you finish us off? Later. Go on.
Well, Henry's given me permission to send us to a break, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. When we come back, we have Nuke. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate that. When we come back, you get to talk a little bit about Nuke. But if you want to understand where on earth it all went wrong for Flipside for the 11th time here in the ESL Pro League, there's an application that enables you to do so. It's called the Score Esports application. You've heard me talk about it before, but this is, of course, a fresh reminder to get it on your smartphone device so you can stay up to date with your favorite game on the go. You go grab that. When we return, we'll be watching our final map of play. Penta and Flipside, and the two Australians will be guiding you through it all.